What's going on, everyone? It's Sean, Denver real estate agent with Co-Listings, and this is your May 2020 Denver real estate market update. I'm going to cover some questions that have come in from social media, but before I do that, I want to cover some of my usual data points that I typically cover in these video real estate market updates. First one is median days on market, then months of housing inventory for single family homes, number of new listings, median sale price, mortgage rates, Denver area unemployment, and then we'll jump into those questions. So median days on market is sitting at 5 days. That's a 16 or just a 17% drop month over month, and just under a 29% drop year over year. That means that it's taking less time to sell houses. And this, if you didn't know coronavirus was going on, this would look very, very normal. It's just taking less time for sellers to get their houses under contract, which is good news for sellers. It does make it a little bit challenging for buyers. Months of housing inventory for single family homes is sitting at 2 months. That's a 100% increase month over month as well as year over year. I really am interested to see if this is going to tick up beyond the 2 months of inventory. We've been like this for quite a while. As of right now, the inventory is still incredibly tight, and this does make it challenging for buyers looking for houses, especially those that have a short time frame to find a house. Number of new listings is sitting at 3,533 homes. That is a drop of just under 28% month over month and a 24% drop year over year. This definitely appears to be an indication of coronavirus, the coronavirus pandemic, and how the city, state, and county orders have impacted this. Typically, you wouldn't see a drop in inventory this quickly, this significantly. Normally, you'd see this towards the end of the summertime and as we start to head into August and the fall. Median sale price is $475,000. That's a 1.16 drop month over month and a 5.2% increase year over year. This 1% drop could be related to the pandemic and people's ability, or inability rather, to get out and get into houses. Mortgage rates for the 30-year fix, it's sitting at 3.23, 15-year is 2.77, and the 5/1 adjustable sitting at 3.15. And you can see a little bit of ups and downs, a little bit of uncertainty here, and that certainly is tied to everything that's going on with the pandemic. And here you can see a little bit of a larger picture, all things considered. The rates are still fantastically low for those that do want to and need to purchase a house in 2020. What is the unemployment rate at? This is one that I've been so interested to follow. This people's livelihoods are being impacted. This is for certain. Unemployment rate is sitting at 4.6% compared to the national average of 4.4%, and that is a 64.29% increase month over month and a 59% year over year increase. And you can see here clearly that the pandemic is having a significant impact on the Denver metro area unemployment rate. And to give you an idea here about the top 5 industries with the highest claims, accommodations and food services has been severely impacted. Retail trade. Now, I want to mention, by the way, this is for a particular week. This is not total unemployment. Unemployment claims are far greater than this, but this gives you sort of a week look back. I believe it was April 11th. I don't have it up yet. I'll confirm here as I go back and edit this video. But retail trade, healthcare and social service, arts, entertainment, recreation, and then other. We're clearly seeing some impact on quite a few people, and it looks like food and service, accommodation, hotel accommodations, food and services. These companies are not able to be open and stay open. They've been required to close down. Now that's starting to loosen up, I believe, but we've seen quite a bit of impact here, which is quite sad. All things considered, my assessment of the situation is that the unemployment seems to have impacted mostly entry-level, lower-paying jobs and has not yet hit some of those mid to high-level paying jobs. Yet this could change. I know that the state of Colorado, the Governor Polis, is trying to get things back in order as safely as possible with some additional guidelines as people get back to some sense of normalcy. But unfortunately, people are being impacted by this, and this certainly does not have this does not look very good for some people in the state of Colorado. The first question is, when's the dip? Seems inventory is still flying off the shelves at asking price. Well, here in the Denver metro area, inventory is still quite low. In fact, this would be the time period that we would continue to see an increase in number of new listings. Looking at the data for the month of April, it does look like there was a pullback. Anecdotally, it does appear like things will take another tick up. I'm seeing some of my colleagues in the Denver metro area start to list homes again. I had a listing go on the market, a condo for $140,000 a little over a week ago. I've got some buyers who are starting their home shopping process again. So we could see things sort of step into a little bit more of a normal summer market. It's definitely fast and furious during the summertime here in the Denver area. We've got good weather. There's a lot more housing inventory. So let's cross our fingers and hope that we are moving into a little bit more of a normal time period in terms of moving real estate. Next question, are people looking at the impacts of climate change when considering where to live as well as house construction? Example, metal roof to protect from fires. Yeah, I'd say that there are quite a few. Yes, I would say that there are people who are aware of the environmental impact that buying a home has, be it the construction materials or the amount of energy that a house consumes versus how much it generates and where it generates the energy from. I have a handful of clients who actually want to purchase very energy efficient homes, net zero homes, so that they're either producing more energy than they're using or equalizing the amount of energy that they use with the amount of energy that they produce through things like solar and wind. Year-over-year comparisons, how has COVID-19 affected the markets for February, March, and April, as well as a pipeline opportunities for May, June, July, time on market, profit, and property value? We are currently under contract, and I personally didn't experience what I would consider any issues. Yeah, this is a really, really good question. As I sort of alluded to a moment ago, there was definitely a pullback, and a lot of that has to do with the orders that the state and counties put in place. We were not, for about a month, we were not able to show houses. We couldn't go into houses. People were still listing houses, and they were making do with 3D tours and virtual tours and things like that, relying a little bit more on technology and video to be able to promote a property. But now we're allowed to go show houses again, and I think that makes a big difference. As maybe you saw maybe about a month or month and a half ago, I did ask people on social media whether they would buy a house sight unseen. Most people said no, they wouldn't. They would need to see it in person. They'd want to feel it. They'd want to look at the neighborhood, etc. So being in an actual house, being around the neighborhood does make a big difference to consumers. And now that we're able to show houses again, at least here in Colorado, I think that that momentary pause for people was short-lived. I could be wrong. There's a lot that could happen, and a lot that is unseen, a lot that people are still trying to determine in terms of professionals in the science and healthcare industry and how the pandemic is impacting people. But as of right now, it does look promising that things are getting back to a little bit more of a normal cadence for real estate. Next question, did the virus weaken the market? I would think it would. Yeah, I do think that there was a moment where people were required to stay at home, and it did give some people some pause in terms of should they list their house, should they go and start the buying process. But it seems like we're moving into a little bit more of a certain time. companies and businesses here in Colorado are allowed to get back to work with some variation, with some additional safety precautions, and this makes it really, really promising, in my opinion, for things to not be impacted as much. Surprisingly for me, I sort of expected real estate to be impacted a little bit more, but as of right now, it only looks like a small blip in the overall outlook for the 2020 real estate market. And last question, do you expect a high inventory, high demand market in the fall when sellers who pulled out return? What does that mean for pricing, or do you think the fallout will be longer term with things remaining the same through 2020? You know, your guess is probably as good as mine. There's a lot that's still unknown about the pandemic and how this virus is impacting people. In fact, I just read an article or two about new ways that the virus is impacting people's bodies. And so I think that there will be a lot more to discover. Will that impact people's confidence in the real estate market? It's yet to be seen. I certainly saw this over the last month or two, where there was a little bit of hesitancy to jump back into putting their house on the market or the real estate hunt to buy a house. How will this look in the fall time? I know that here in the Denver area, things tend to quiet down a little bit as we move into the winter season. Summer season is peak. Winter is definitely the bottom or the trough of the market in terms of activity. So I'm hopeful, and I think that a real big indicator here is how deep will unemployment cut the job market in Colorado, but also in the U.S. How deep will it cut? Will a lot of people lose their jobs? Will they be relying on unemployment to be able to make it? I'd say if that continues to widen, if that cut continues to go even deeper, we will see some longer lasting impacts on real estate. Obviously, most people rely on financing to purchase a house. If you don't have a job, you can't get approved for financing. There will be a small subset of people who probably have put away some cash, have some savings, or maybe a financial gift from a family member that will be able to capitalize on this market. I'd say if we go into a little bit more of a slower real estate season, houses are sitting on the market for a little bit longer, it's more likely that we'll see some price reductions. We may see the investors come out a little bit more, and this may be a little bit more of a buyer's market, which isn't terrible in itself, depending on what type of real estate consumer you are. Do you want to find a good deal? Have you been diligent about putting money away for a time like this? This may be your opportunity to start that home buying process. That's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to watching my videos, my real estate market updates, I do this once a month, and I catch you up to speed on everything that's going on in the Denver real estate market. So consider subscribing as well as liking the page, and I'll catch everyone on the next video.